platform. That's, of course, Moneyfm Zambia with Munyumba Mtwali. And of course, together we'll be doing God's economy. And just make sure you get yourself locked into Money FM Facebook page. That's, of course, Money FM Zambia. And also just make sure you do comment in the comment section, as well as just acquaint yourself to 077 1616 290. Now, last week I started off with God's origination of money. That's, of course, a topic that we had. And like I said, Minyumba will definitely get us through what we need to know. I know we do have the forums, of course, in terms of managing money. And remember, it's definitely godly. So just in case you're thinking, no, issues to do with God, don't do with money. It's definitely godly. Good morning, Mim.
Good morning, Stephanie, and thank you to everyone. I hope I'm audible today. And it is a godly Sunday to you. So today, thank you very much also for picking up on the journey of the four money skills, which is going to be the theme of the first 3 months of this year. We're going to touch on that, and we want to make sure that by the end of March, everyone understands the four money skills and what that means biblically and what it stands for. And if anyone can remember, the four money skills are to make money, manage money, multiply money, and maintain money. And those are four important skills, and we'll go through what does the Bible say about them. But the thing I wanted to introduce today is that, Stephanie, when it comes to money, many Christians are confused about money, and there's almost a dual language that often comes, that money is evil while simultaneously it is needed, while it is preached about, while it is taught about. So there's a lot of confusion a lot of people have in this time when it comes to money. And the question everyone has to have is, what should you know about money? How should you feel about it? What should you be able to do with it? And that's what we want to try and cover from a financial advisory perspective, but also from even from a biblical perspective, as people who are trying to manage it through. So it does create a lot of confusion. And what you often find is that Christians have this battle between glorification of poverty, which is what we often do. We often try and show how holy we are by how poor we are, even though there's no biblical scripture that says anything about poverty being holy. It does talk about, yes, the struggles of money. So while trying to also be prosperous. It's something that we often have in Christianity, and we struggle with this. What can be seen as the prosperity gospel and the vilification of prosperity, while also the need of money. You stand in front of your church, and your leaders at church want your money, but they don't want you to have money, while some of them will then teach you how to make money. So there's a lot of confusion that comes around when it comes to the topic and the story of money. But when you're also dealing with it, Stephanie, you do realize that the prescription that people need to understand now is, what does the Bible say about money, and where does it come from? So that's really what we have here at God's Economy. We want to be the intersection. In fact, we are the intersection of your faith, finance, and focus. Those three rings where you will make an impact in your life. That is where your mark in this world is made, where you have the intersection of what you believe, what you do, and what you have. These are the three core intersections of what you'll actually become with life itself. Now, as we go forward today, we're trying to position ourselves to now get ourselves to understand, what are the money skills and what do they say? But most importantly, Stephanie, I think the first step we need to start with is, where does money come from? What is this thing? Because how do you master something you don't even know? And to know something, Stephanie, you have to know where it comes from. You have to know where it originated from, because you'll understand its original intended purpose. So for today's God's Economy, I'm going to take you through something I do in I have a course that I generally do, which teaches, and what I focus on is, I try to tell people, what is the origin of money from Genesis to today. Okay, where did it come from? So for the purpose of God's economy, and for anybody who's here with us live on social media, please feel free to join in and also share it with as many people as possible. But for the purpose of today, we're going to talk about the story of how God created money. Okay, what form it took. Then next week, I'm going to go into the three money forms: time, treasure, talent. And And I want to talk about how to deal with those three things. And then after that, I'm going to talk about, the next week, I'm going to talk about the mandate of money. So I just skipped that one by
Mm.
mistake. What are you supposed to do with it? What is its purpose in your life? What does it do? And I'm going to talk about the three main mandates of money. Then I'm going to talk about the three forms of money. And then we're going to start the journey into the four money skills. And what does the Bible say about making money? What does it say about managing money? What does it say about maintaining money, multiplying money? What does it say about maintaining money? And all together, what does this mean? So as you are trying to battle between your faith and your pockets, you have to try and figure out what it all means and what it's useful for. So today, Stephanie, the purpose of today, I'm going to take you through a journey of where did money come from the Garden of Eden to the fall of man to today, to how we transitioned to gold and how we started transacting. The story of how we went from creating to transacting. That's a very
Mm.
important story. And what does money play as this common thread? How did it change its form as we changed our behavior? So I start by often saying this one line. We always, the Bible starts with in the beginning. So I will start with in the beginning, time was money. Okay. And this is what I want everyone to understand. If you go to Genesis 1:3-5, it says, then God, and this is the first day, okay? The first day God
Mm.
creates, he creates time. That's what everyone has to understand. If you look at it very carefully, it says, then God said, let there be light. And there was light. And God saw the light and said it was good. And he divided the light from the darkness. And God called the light day and the darkness night. So evening and morning were the first day. Okay. So a unit of time has been created, a day. All right. A day, an actual unit
Mm.
that will then cycle. So there'll be morning, there'll be night. Then another morning will come, there'll be night. So the creation of a day, the first unit. So I think people always wonder, what did God create? He created the light and the darkness. He actually created time, a cycle of time, a 24-hour day. So it's amazing how in the first day, he actually creates a day. So that now with this
Mm.
time, God can produce other things. So until God could create a day, he needed that day to then create things like the seas and the ocean and the animals and everything, because time is an asset of productivity. Time is the currency with
Mm.
which we do things, Stephanie. Everything that's done is done with time. Okay. So now the second thing God creates is he creates a longer term version of time. He creates a year, and then God said, let there be lights in the firmaments of the heavens to divide the day from the night, and let there be signs and seasons for days and years. So we've gone from days. Now there'll be months as well, and there'll be years. So we've got this long term, we've got days, weeks, months, and years that have now been created. This long term version of time for people to be able to think in years. So Genesis 1:14, that was that, and we see the creation of a year. Now, what is the
Mm.
purpose of this time? What does God do with this time? He creates time, he creates the earth, he creates everything, and then he puts man on it. And he gives man a journey. He says, God blessed them and said, be fruitful, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over the fish in the sea, over the birds in the air, and over every living thing that moves on the earth. And we're going to talk about that when we deal with the have dominion part, when we talk about the three money mandates. Okay? They have to do with that portion, having dominion over things, not letting things have dominion over you, but having dominion over things. And this is Genesis 1:28. The purpose of time is for man. So all in all, we can say God creates man with the abilities to create, produce, multiply, and expand in order to meet his needs and rule the earth. And time is the currency with which he can do this. So time is the first thing God gave. So remember, I'm going to talk about the three money forms: time, treasure, talent. The things that are tradable in this world: time, treasure, and talent. Okay, those are the three money forms. But the first one God's put is time. He's given man abilities and he has given him time. So these are two things. Okay, there's no treasure yet, but there's abilities and time, and infinite amounts of time, so that people can do whatever they want for themselves. And when we're created like this, Stephanie, human beings were
Mm.
created, they can live forever. Imagine you wanted to make clothes for yourself. You didn't have to buy them. You could live forever. So you could literally go and grow the fabric. You could grow the hemp or whatever fabric you'd want, take it from the ground, stitch it into whatever, and make it, because you were living for millions of years. Okay? You could live for a long period of time. So that is the purpose. Time becomes the currency with which mankind is able to now create, produce, multiply, expand, and dominate over his environment. Okay? So that is the purpose. But where did this go wrong? Because today we don't use time for everything, we use money. We use this physical money, paper in our pocket, which says, I promise. So, how did we transform to this? Well, it actually starts from the sin of man. Okay? Because remember, at this point, time was infinite. So, the cheapest thing, Stephanie, that you could do because time was infinite was to make
Mm.
things for yourself. Self-production was the economy. We were in the economy of self-production, and mankind back then was independent and powerful because we had unlimited time. You see, the more unlimited resources a person has, the more powerful they are seen to be. That's the purpose of, we talk about with resource management. The more unlimited or the more abundant, let me put it this way, abundant your resources, the more powerful you seem to be. Everyone, America seems to be the most powerful nation because of the abundance of military strength and money, the abundance of gold. Everyone who has abundant productive resources. Africa has abundant resources, but they're unproductive. Abundant productive resources in their hold. That is a person who is deemed powerful. Okay, so it's abundance that we often think of. We even think of God in his abundance. We pray for abundance. You realize that whenever we, even in the financial management, the final step of personal finance is called abundance. It's called financial abundance. Above financial freedom, it's financial abundance. So that's something I want everyone to think about. As we've come to this first step, we've understood that time has been created for us to be productive. It is given to us in absolute abundance, in other words, infinity. But then the
Mm.
question, I think, on the other side of this break, Stephanie, I know that we've got a slight break we need to take, is how did we go from this abundant, productive being who could make anything they want to transitioning to this being that has to look for money, that has to make money now? We have to manage money, we have to multiply it, and we have to maintain it. How did we switch into that? And we'll touch that on the other
Mm.
side. We have to maintain it. How did we switch into that? Touch that.
You're listening to Money FM Radio 93.7. Just now, let's get to pay some bills on the other side. But remember, this is God's economy. Just now, let's get to pay some bills on the other side. But remember, we're back on the God's economy, and of course, today we are definitely discussing the originations of money. Over to you, Mnyumba.
Thank you very much, Stephanie. So, as we were talking about earlier, trying to get back to the origin story of money itself, we're at this point where we're highly productive and we are now trying to figure out where the fall happened. So let's go through the story of the fall of man, and I'm going to explain what happened to us as people that made us start transacting rather than creating. Because at this
mm,
point, we were told to bear fruit, multiply, fill the earth, subdue it, and have dominion over things. And that came through the power of creation. But now let's take a look at how we switch to that. And if you go to Genesis 3:19, here's where you get it. Genesis 3:19, God makes time finite. And he says, "In the sweat of your face you shall eat
mm,
bread, till you return to the ground from out of which you were taken. For dust you are, and dust you shall return." So he says you will die at one point. Now I'm not going to say
mm,
when, but you will. And so there is a finite level to time. There's a limited supply of time, but we don't know what the limited supply is. Okay, it is still abundant. Adam lived up to 900. In fact, most of Adam's descendants until the time of Noah, and until that point of Noah and Abraham, were living up to 900. In fact, it got to the point of Moses' period, actually, where they got up to the hundreds. Sorry, not Moses, up to Joseph and Jacob, where you started seeing people getting to the hundreds. But until this point, most people were getting to 900. And they were living up to a very long period of time. In fact, Noah had his first child at 500, but there was a finite level. People were dying. They were living up to a certain point, but they still had quite an abundance. Now, later on in the time of Noah, this is when God gets sick and tired of people. And the Lord said, "My spirit shall no longer strive with man, for he is indeed flesh, and his days shall be numbered to 120." This is Genesis 6
mm,
3. And God makes time definite. Okay, so he had made it finite. Now he makes it definite. He has defined it, and he has set a period with which time can exist for humanity. So what has happened now, Stephanie? People have gone from having abundant time where they could produce everything they want, they could do anything they want, they could, if I wanted electricity, for example, let's say, but it wasn't there back in those days, but if I wanted electricity, I could build a power station with my bare hands. If I wanted food, I could grow it with my bare hands. If I wanted anything, I could make it with my bare hands. Okay, that's what I could do because I had all the time in the world to learn how to do something, become very good at it. I'd put in 10,000 hours to become very good at making my own clothes and all sorts of things. And I could have abundant people in my family, and we could pretty much produce for ourselves. We were self-sustaining. But now we have
mm.
limited time. I don't have time. I have to raise for ourselves. We were self-sustaining. Now we have limited time. I don't have time. Sorry about that. Okay, and we are back. I don't know if I'm audible.
Of course, you are audible.
Thank you very much. So there's a lot that has to happen now. Now we've got limited time. You have 120 years. In fact, these days we're living up to
Mm,
79. We're living up to 80. We're not even living that long. So you have to now do something called managing time. You first have to make money to be able to now maximize your time. You have to manage your time. So whenever something is scarce, Stephanie, think about it. Think about, let's say you are at home and you have 1,000 units of electricity in your house, okay,
mm,
and you've got enough money to take it through, and you've got abundant amounts of electricity. What happens? You can use it as freely as you want. You don't even pay attention. What happens, Stephanie, when you get to your last 20 units of electricity? You start managing it. You start being very careful with it. So the key
mm,
here is that when something becomes limited, it starts being careful. So I want to talk to you about the 6 characteristics of money, and I want to focus on the last one. This is as of the St. Louis Federal Reserve in America. And it says money must be durable, okay, meaning it must be able to last for a long period of time. So time is durable, okay? The first thing about time you'll notice is it's durable. The second thing is it must be portable. Now, Stephanie, the reality is I'm here, I've got time. You're there, you've got time. The beautiful thing about time is you can take it everywhere you want with you. Everywhere you go, there is 24 hours in a day. I don't go to,
mm,
I can't go to Switzerland and now all of a sudden I don't have 24 hours in a day. Or go to Kenya and realize I have an abundant amount. Time is portable. My time, I can take my time with me everywhere because it moves with me. So as long as I'm portable, my time is portable. So it can move around. Time is divisible. God creates a year, he creates months, he creates things, so you can divide it into smaller units. It is divisible. It is uniform, Stephanie. Your 24 hours and my 24 hours are the exact same 24 hours. Okay? Bill Gates is 24 hours and Warren Buffett's 24 hours, and a person living on the roads 24 hours are the exact same 24 hours. So time is uniform. It's acceptable, Stephanie, that a person must work to create. God made it acceptable that time is utilized to create things, to multiply things, to expand things that is in the spectrum of time. But here's the final thing God added. In these the first five were things that God made during creation. Number six is what God added with punishment, is the limitation of the supply of money. Money is limited in supply. I mean, so time was unlimited when God created the earth. So 1 to 5 were given to us. But 6 is in Genesis 3 when he says, you shall die. Genesis 6 when he says 120, he now puts a cap on it. And we know what date, what time is old, when we're heading towards the end of our lives. So 120 years was the limitation of man. So I want to talk to you about limitation, okay? When man was created, time was infinite, meaning that time was a cheap commodity. It was easy to. Now, the next thing I wanted to talk about is that there's a thing in economics called diamonds and water. And this is what we explain it as. There is value of something, Stephanie, when you use it. Value in use means the usefulness of something's ability to satisfy a need, to execute a task, to do something. How useful is this? That's valuable. Then there's something called value in exchange. And that is the amount of other things you are willing to exchange for something. So when time was made, it had its value in use. Now, because it's limited, it has its value in exchange. And value in exchange is driven by how scarce something is. So God first said time is defined. He says time is limited. Now he's going to make it scarce by making it 120 years, of which you have to live a full life. You have to make a mark. You have to make an impact. You have to expand your family, everything. And that is where the struggle comes. So there's something in economics called diamonds and water, Stephanie. And I want you to think about this. What is more useful to your life, Stephanie, a diamond or water? And I want you to think about this. What is
Diamond
useful to your life, Stephanie? A diamond
and
is
water.
useful to your life. Between a diamond and water, what will keep you alive, Stephanie?
A cup of diamonds in water.
Keep you alive. I'm not even going to try this one. So to everyone else, water. Okay, water is what keeps you alive. Okay, you are multiples water. Water is what keeps you alive. But why is a diamond more expensive than water? Because water is in abundance and diamonds are scarce. So that which is in abundance becomes cheap and accessible. That which is scarce becomes rare and expensive. Okay, that is the reality. So this is what you find, is that the price of something is determined by how scarce it is. So therefore, when God moves time from infinite to finite down to 120, what does he do? He makes using time more expensive than it is scarce. That's what God actually did. He made using time more expensive than scarce. I want to show this. I want to show you a simple example of how this works. Now, according to data that has been collected in the country, the average salary in Zambia is about 6,109 kwacha, according to NAPSA data. And if you break that down, that means the average working hour is 35 kwacha. Okay, the average working hour is about 35 kwacha. So what you ever want to do as a person, anyone, you, Stephanie, anyone, is take your monthly salary, multiply it by 12, divided by 2,080, and you will find the average hour that you earn. Okay, the average earning, the average hour, the average value, the market value of your time. That's what you'll discover. So now what I've done is I've taken some of the data from the last reading of prices around the world. Okay, some of the data from the last reading of prices around the world, and this not around the world. Okay, some of the data from the last reading of prices around the world, and this not around. We do have a few technical errors sometimes, but this is prices came out of the last inflation read of the country, and these are your basic goods and services. So I've told everyone the average Zambian earns 35 kwacha per hour. Now, I want you to think about all these things, Stephanie. A 25 kg bag of milli meal, all these things, chicken, everything. How long does it take to make these things versus how long does it take to earn enough money to buy these things? Okay? And
Mm.
let's look at it. So therefore, with a person earning 35 kwacha per hour, it will take the average Zambian 5 hours of work to earn a bag of milli meal. Okay. But how long will it take you, Stephanie, to grow maize, to plant maize, grow maize, pack it, harvest it, shuck it, dry it, pound it, put it into a bag, and then consume it? Okay. How long will it take you to do that? Obviously, it's not going to take you 5 hours. From growing maize to putting it in a bag, it's not going to take you 5 hours. So the reason is, one, you would rather go and earn the money from a job to go and make that, to go and purchase that maize so you can consume it because you need it. Let's look at a chicken. Okay, how long does it take to take a chicken from an egg all the way to a full chicken that you're ready to buy to slaughter? Well, it doesn't take you 2 hours, but it does take you 2 hours to earn the money to be able to buy that chicken. So you see what happens is that time, using your time to make things, has become more expensive than not use than just earning money to buy things. So you can see the same with a tray of eggs. It's equal to 2 hours of work. A local rice is equal to 1 hour of work. Dried kapenta is equal to 4 hours of work. Fresh milk is equal to half an hour of work. 2 liters of cooking oil, 3 hours of work. Sugar, 1 hour of work. So you can see. I want you to also do this, Stephanie. This is an exercise I'll give everyone. When you go to the shops next, when you look at the prices, I want you to take your salary, your annual salary divided by 2,080, and then that's your number. Now, when you go into the shop, write down and ask yourself, how many hours do I have to work to buy this? How many hours do I have to work to buy this? And then ask yourself, how many hours would it take me to make this from scratch? Okay? To make this from nothing without ever earning money, because you can do things by earning. And you will learn, Stephanie, that using time to make things you need is actually more expensive than using your time to earn money and buy the things that you need. So that is the difference in today's economy. And that's what God did when he did this. So now people have to trade their time. So what everyone has decided is, I'm going to figure out something I'm very good at. So now we have to use our talents. I have to figure out what I'm very good at, sell that skill to people who need it, earn money, and then do this. So now how do we trade time? People tried the barter system where they maybe came with animals. That didn't work because I needed a chicken and that was the cost of the leg of my cow. I can't cut my cow's leg to give you for a chicken. That makes sense. So what did people eventually do? They found a currency. And what did they find? Gold. And it says here in the Bible, a river went from Eden to water the garden, and from it parted into 4 riverheads. Now, this is Genesis 2:10 to 11. God creates gold. The name of the first river was Fishon, which and it is the one which skirts the land of Halava, where there was gold. Gold became the first currency, and after many iterations, people recognized that we needed this currency to utilize. Now, remember that now that money is limited in supply, gold is dependent on what God has put on this earth. So why do we use gold? Well, there's actual reasons, Stephanie. It's actually chemical. Okay, it must be rare. Remember, we said money must be limited in supply. Well, gold makes up only 3% of the Earth's crust, and it's the 10th most. What's it called? It's the 10th most rare element in the world. Like on the periodic table, it's actually the 10th most rare element. The next thing is it's durable. Okay, gold does not react with the atmosphere. So it's durable and stable. The gold that is there stays there. Gold has been in the financial system for a long time, and all the gold that has been mined has been sitting there. It's also stable. Gold doesn't turn into gas. It doesn't corrode. It doesn't rust. It stays exactly there. You put it in water, it stays gold. You put it in the air, it stays gold. It does not react with air or water, and it doesn't burst into flames. It actually lasts for a long period of time. Gold was also decentralized. People were not creating gold. Gold was created by God. Okay, he put it there on the earth. It's there in the Bible. It says there it was from what God created in the river that went to Halava. It was there. And it pointed out here that gold is also portable. In other words, it's not radioactive. So remember, money must be portable. It must be divisible. It must be limited in supply. It must be durable. So if you go back to these 6 things here, the things of money, it's durable. Okay, because it doesn't react with the air. It's portable because it's not radioactive. Now I'll get to divisibility, but it's uniform. One brick of gold is one brick of gold is one brick of gold. Gold from Senegal is the same as gold from Zambia, is the same as gold from Canada. It's the same gold. Okay, so gold is uniform. It's an acceptable medium of exchange because we realized that it was the best one. It's limited in supply because God made it. And the reason why we pick gold is because out of all the remaining elements, there are only 5 remaining elements that fit this bill of being rare, divisible in terms of chemical reaction. And that is gold, silver, rhodium, platinum, and palladium. Gold has the lowest melting point. So it's the most energy efficient because to make gold divisible, you have to melt it and shrink it and then use it in smaller units. Now, to melt things like rhodium and platinum and silver, you need about 300 degrees of heat. But with gold, you just need 3,000 degrees of heat. With gold, you just need 1,000. So it is the most energy efficient out of all the remaining elements that fit the bill. And that is the reason why to this day we use gold. So the purpose of gold is to represent the fact that as people, we need to utilize our time by trading it with each other. And why do we do this, Stephanie? I want to go back to this just to end. We buy things, okay? The purpose of spending money, and I want everyone to put this in their mind who's watching this or is listening to us. The purpose of spending money is to save time. You spend 5 hours working so that you can earn 180 kwacha to buy a bag of mealie meal so that you don't have to spend months making that bag of mealie meal. Okay, that's the difference. You want to save months. You want to save months growing chickens. You want to save months trying to get eggs. You want to save your days trying to grow rice. You want to save your time. Why do you want to save it for? To do things that are meaningful to your life, to live an inspirational life, to be of good character, to provide for your loved ones. First, you want to be able to provide for yourself, provide for your loved ones, and be able to secure yourself. And then the main thing you want to be able to do, Stephanie, with your time is you want to have experiences. You want to have experiences that allow you to live an inspirational life that people will be moved by. You want to have experiences where you connect with people, have beautiful relationships with people. You want to build your character so that people can say, that's a person who I want to grow up and become like. You want to have a connection with God, being able to spend time with God. You want to be able to make a contribution that lasts in your field, in your society, in your family, in your nation. You want to have a lasting impact. You want to leave footprints in the sands of time. And that is important, Stephanie. That is why people are now have to be able to make, manage, multiply, and maintain money so that they can try and push for the abundance in life, like we talked about before, the importance of the abundance of life. And that brings into conclusion the origins of money. Why do we have physical money? Now, since the days of Abraham in the Bible, all the way up to 1971, the most acceptable form of trading financially is gold. It was gold. We changed it to paper money in 1971, but it still, in effect, represents the gold system. And that is the system of trading time with one another. And that, Stephanie, is the origins of money. And the origins of money, once again, just for the final point, is that we use money. Okay, you must manage money so that you can maximize your time, because the most important resource from the beginning of the earth, when God first created the very first day, is time. It was important for God to be productive, to have time. It is important for you to be productive, to have time. Stephanie, just a simple example. If you buy food from a fast food restaurant, you now don't have to use time to make your dinner. You can consume it. You have freed up your time. So that is the importance of all of this, ensuring that you can maximize your time. The destination is not to pile up money for no reason. It is to manage your money well so that you can abundantly utilize your time. Okay. And I hope that, I don't know if maybe you have a comment or two about that, Stephanie, But that is the point that I just wanted to make about today's conversation being the origins of time.
Well, it's actually been a beautiful conversation, and obviously, you've taken us back to the time of 1970s, where we see that God is more valuable than anything.
Yeah. And that is the important thing. So, all the way from the book of Genesis to now, how did we get to the point of using time? And the journey going into the next one, Stephanie, will be that we'll be talking about the three money mandates. What are the things money is supposed to do to help you free up your time? What is the power of money that you're supposed to wield? Not that money should have power over you, because that is when it becomes very evil, when it controls your
Mm,
thoughts and controls your being. But what are you going to do to be able to wield money correctly so that you
mm,
can exercise the power, the God given power that you can be able to use?
exactly.
Okay. And with that, it is thank you very much. And I'll be seeing you next time on God's Economy.
Thank you, Mnyumba, for joining us today on God's Economy. And of course, thank you for everyone that's been live streaming, as well as those that are mainstreaming. Keep it locked into Money FM Radio 93.7 for more broadcasting.
Thank you.